Toto Wolff, Mercedes team boss, believes the long-term development intentions for the underperforming W14 are more about ride control than sheer downforce, ahead of the much-anticipated Formula 1 upgrade packages unveiling this month at Imola. And this upgrade will change everything for Mercedes in this season. The Imola package is merely one stage in the car's growth, and according to Wolff, is intended to be a good baseline, rather than anything that would dramatically improve its performance. Along with the modified side pod package, it will also include a new floor and a modified front suspension, but these upgrades will lay the groundwork for their return to the top. So far this year, Red Bull's suspension design and the resulting control of the mechanical platform has been a hot topic. It has built a car that retains last year's anti-dive arrangement at the front and augments it with anti-squat and anti-lift qualities in the rear suspension, which aid in keeping the car's platform in the proper window. Importantly, Red Bull accomplishes this while keeping the car relatively low and without causing any porpoising or bouncing issues, while still providing the required suspension compliance. For our car, it's more about the ride control than it is about sheer downforce, said Wolff. We could put a lot of downforce on the car, but the car would be too low, too stiff. Talking about Red Bull, you can see on the onboards, the car is barely moving, a bit on the straights over bumps, the corner though balance looks easy. You look at all the other onboards and the cars are tricky, so I think generally the ground effect cars are cars. It's just who has the least sh-tist is ahead. Wolff's remark may appear sarcastic, yet it perfectly captures the difficulty of ground effect cars. The more downforce you provide, the lower you run them to the ground. However, this must be manageable and consistent. As a result, greater riding control effectively equals increased downforce, or more accurately, usable downforce. The advantages of a tightly managed platform are clearly understood by all teams. The difficulty is figuring out how to do so in a manageable fashion, considering that the 2022 rule revisions prohibited hydraulic suspension devices, as well as inertias. As a result, this must be accomplished mechanically, which includes not just the external suspension geometry, but also the internal suspension components. It's uncertain if the improved front suspension would make a difference, with James Allison indicating earlier this year that suspension components were intended to improve the car's balance and make it more drivable. Mercedes, like everyone else, is bound not just by the cost ceiling, but also by additional constraints, such as the requirements for gearboxes to be homologated for the season. Because the pickup points inboard cannot be changed, changing the rear suspension geometry significantly is difficult. Mercedes would have contemplated introducing a new chassis before the cost ceiling was implemented in 2021, according to Wolff. While this would be an extreme step, it would also allow for a change in the cockpit position, which Hamilton has criticized about the car. You're more stuck than before because if we would be completely free, we would bring a different chassis, said Wolff. So we have to really decide carefully what is it that we want to upgrade. We're bringing a new front suspension to Imola, and then the aero upgrade that comes with it and floor. But if we were free, we'd probably bring double the amount of upgrades, but so would the others. As it's a relative game, okay, you just need to be clever in taking the right decisions that bring the optimum amount of performance. But there were some comments on the disputed cockpit position, as this was Toto Wolff's take on the cockpit's positioning on the W14. We're going to change the position, optimize the car, make sure that the drivers sit in a good place. George is pretty relaxed about the seating position. For Lewis, it's important, so we're going to find the right compromise. This all implies that the improvements Mercedes can make this year are restricted, and that more fundamental upgrades will have to wait until next year. But they will try everything they can to get an as good as possible racing machine on the grid from Imola onwards. As returning technical director Allison stated in Baku, it makes no sense for the car to be a blank slate even for next year. However, this will allow for fundamental changes that the team hopes will allow it to match, if not outperform, Red Bull's performance level. Achieving the desired mechanical platform in a usable manner will be critical, and progress may be achieved this year with the W14 as it develops. I think we can close it, said Wolff, of the gap to Red Bull. If we can get the platform right, it is less about adding 10 points of downforce. It's more about giving the driver a car that when they turn the wheel into the corner, they actually know that the rear doesn't overtake them. That's the problem. And then we can catch up, as we did last year. It's better not to change the regulations again on our initiative to lose it again. That final remark was only half joking. given how hard Mercedes pushed for changes to the regulations to address the bouncing and porpoising issues. As a result, the floor edge height was increased by 15mm, as was the diffuser throat. Everyone has been startled by Red Bull's approach, but now that Mercedes, Ferrari and the others have realized it is possible, the issue is whether they will follow, and if so, will they be able to do it as well or better? That is a long-term question, but for the time being, Mercedes is battling to improve the performance of its current model, and Wolff is keen to keep expectations in check. I just need to manage everybody's expectation, because we're talking so much about that upgrade. We're not going to put it down on the track and then drive circles around Red Bull, said Wolff. So it's going to be a good baseline, I think. What are your thoughts on the proposed upgrades? Will this be enough to get Mercedes back into the battle? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And after the disappointing start to the season for Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton is optimistic that the W14's Imola improvement package can put his team back on track. It only took one race for Toto Wolff to proclaim the team's new approach, with the Bahrain GP confirming the pre-season worries at Brackley. The return of James Allison to the technical director job, which Mike Elliott has now departed, marks the W14's search of something fresh. Many of Mercedes' fundamental problems from last season have carried over into this season, preventing the Silver Arrows from challenging Red Bull's RB19 machine. There has been much conjecture regarding the team's distinctive side pod design, but top Brackley staff have emphasized that this would not be the emphasis. It remains to be seen how soon Mercedes can lay the groundwork to change their trajectory and avoid the dead end that Toto Wolff has predicted. Lewis Hamilton, for one, would be hoping for a quick turnaround, as he indicated after the race in Baku. There was great prep before coming here, a couple of days at the factory, plenty of sim running. I'm really proud of the team. The mentality in the team is great, such a winning mindset, and everyone is so focused on progressing and getting to where we know we can get to, he said to the media. It's just taken some steps. I think this is just a build to getting to where we need to be. And that's all we can ask for right now until we get those upgrades, which will hopefully put us much more in the fight. We knew from early on we'd have some races until this upgrade, so I've just been counting the days and weeks down. We don't know exactly how good the upgrade will be, but we know it will be the start of something new for us. While upgrades never guarantee performance, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell will be looking for signs that the team can chip away at Red Bull's lead. Mercedes is forced to undertake an ambitious mid-season development strategy, or risk another dismal F1 season. Not only will the W14's destiny be determined by these changes, but the German team's prospects of success in 2024 will also be determined by fixing their existing fundamental flaws. Although Miami will be a different test than Baku's unique street circuit, Mercedes will have a better understanding of their trajectory once the long-awaited Imola upgrades arrive. Part of this understanding is due to the reshuffle within the Mercedes technical department. And when Mercedes announced their decision to return the team's chief technical officer, James Allison, to his prior post of technical director, while TD Mike Elliott accepted the CTO job, shockwaves were sent through the Formula One media. Following the announcement of the swap, Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff explained that the switch was suggested by Elliott and Allison themselves. Allison detailed how they arrived to that choice in an interview with Sky Sports. Mike Elliott and I talked long into the night about this, and just reckoned we could do a better job, swapped around, than we could do in our erstwhile role, he said. Mike is better at thinking long-term. Mike is better at working out where the long-term structural weaknesses in the organization are, in the technologies are. He thinks more strategically than I do. I'm a bit more of a blunderer around, of applying lots of enthusiasm in the short term, and then relatively good as a hype man in getting the people in the factory pumped up for a fight. Those are the sort of characteristic differences between us, which means I'm possibly a bit more suited to the technical director role, which feels the call of the current car much more strongly than the CTO role, which is preparing us for the wars to come. Allison went on to say that they will do all in their power to restore Mercedes to its previous championship-winning brilliance. The W13 and the W14, 15, 16, 17 to come will be the product of our entire factory, and I will be playing my small part in that. I hope to play that part well, and hope that being a short-term miller will be useful. In the other part of the company, Mike will be moving the chess pieces around to make sure that over time, the organization just gets stronger and stronger. And collectively him, me, and all the rest of us will put together a weaponry we can be proud of again. Will the reshuffle help Mercedes get back to the top? Let us know your thoughts on their season up until now in the comments down below.